Tonight, when the lights go off, something will happen to you. Your eyes will adjust, your breathing will slow, and then, without any warning, without any sound, without any logical reason at all, you will feel it. Something is in the room with you. You will scan the shadows. You will listen for movement that isn't there. Your heart rate will climb, and your body will prepare for a threat that does not exist. And the strangest part? You are not being irrational. Your brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do. The feeling is ancient, precise, and it may have saved your life 1,000 times before you were ever born. This is the story of why darkness still scares you, and why that fear is one of the most sophisticated survival systems ever built by evolution. Your brain has a detection system running in the background at all times. You don't control it. You can't turn it off. Neuroscientist David Eagleman describes it as a kind of threat radar, always scanning, always listening, always asking the same question: is something out there? In daylight, this system runs quietly. You see the room, you see the corners. Your visual cortex fills in the details, and the radar settles down. But the moment the lights go out, something shifts. In darkness, your visual information drops to almost nothing, and your brain does not respond to that loss by going quiet. It responds by turning the radar up. This is called the threat simulation theory, first developed by psychologist Antti Revonsuo at the University of Turku. His research proposed that your brain's most ancient function is not thinking, not language, not creativity. It is threat detection. And when sensory information disappears, the brain doesn't wait. It begins to generate threats on its own. It fills in the blank dark with possibilities. It assumes the worst, because for most of human history, the worst was far more likely than people today can imagine. Think about where your ancestors actually lived. Not in houses, not in cities, not behind locked doors with reinforced frames and motion sensor lighting. For over 200,000 years, your ancestors slept on the ground, in caves, beneath open sky, in environments packed with predators that evolved specifically to hunt in darkness: lions, leopards, hyenas, cave bears, saber-toothed cats. These were not occasional dangers. These were nightly realities, and almost all of them hunted between dusk and dawn. Your ancestors who survived were not the ones who stayed calm in the dark. They were the ones who panicked correctly. They were the ones whose brains fired off alarm signals at the smallest hint of movement or sound, who woke up fast, who ran first and thought later. The ones who stopped to reason, the ones who lay in the dark and told themselves there was probably nothing there. Many of them didn't make it. You are the descendant of the ones who were afraid. That fear didn't disappear when humans built walls and invented fire. Evolution doesn't work that fast. 200,000 years of nighttime predation doesn't get erased by a few thousand years of architecture. The circuitry is still there, buried in the oldest structures of your brain, running the same ancient program every single night. Now here is where it gets stranger. You might expect that the fear of darkness is simply the fear of not seeing danger. A rational calculation: less light, less information, therefore more risk. But neuroscientist Michael Shermer at Chapman University has studied what he calls the belief engine, the part of your brain that doesn't just detect threats, but invents agents behind them. His research found that human brains are wired to perceive intention in ambiguous signals. A rustling in the dark is not just a sound. Your brain automatically assigns it a cause, and that cause, almost always, is something with a will, something that is moving toward you on purpose. This is called agency detection. And in evolutionary terms, it makes perfect sense. Imagine two of your ancestors. One is a skeptic. He hears a sound in the bushes and reasons carefully. Wind, he thinks. Probably wind. He goes back to sleep. The other is a believer. She hears the same sound and immediately assumes something is in those bushes, watching her, deciding whether to attack. She grabs her spear and moves away from the sound. 9 times out of 10, it was the wind. But the 10th time, the skeptic is gone. The believer survives. And she passes on a brain that assumes the worst. A brain that sees eyes in every shadow. A brain that invents predators from the sound of leaves. You inherited that brain. This is why, in the dark, you don't just feel afraid. You feel watched. There is a profound difference. Fear of a known danger is processed by the amygdala, which fires a simple alarm signal. Danger, exit, now. But the feeling of being watched is different. It activates what neuroscientists call the social brain, a network that includes the right temporoparietal junction and the superior temporal sulcus, the same regions you use to understand other people's intentions. Your brain is not just detecting danger in the dark. It is modeling a mind in the dark. It is asking, what does it want? Where is it going? Is it looking at me? Psychologist Colwyn Trevarthen described this as the most ancient form of social awareness, the knowledge that something else exists and that something else has a perspective. It is the seed of all empathy, all theory of mind, all human connection. And it was originally born in the dark, pointed outward, scanning for predators. The face you see in the shadows, the shape that almost looks like a person, the certainty, deep in your chest, that something just moved when you looked away. These are not glitches. These are that ancient system running perfectly. Researcher Matthew Bribescu at Harvard studied populations of children and adults across multiple cultures and found something remarkable. The fear of being watched in the dark, not just darkness, but the specific sensation of unseen eyes, appears in children as young as 2 years old, long before they are old enough to have learned it from stories or movies. It emerges, unprompted, from something that is already there, something that arrived with them. This is why every culture on Earth has invented creatures that live in the dark and watch you. The shadow figures, the night demons, the spirits of the forest after sundown, the things that move when no one is looking. These are not coincidences. They are not independent inventions. They are the same ancient fear dressed in different costumes, because every group of humans that ever lived, on every continent, in every century, had the same brain. And that brain, left alone in the dark, creates the same sensation. Something is here. Something has eyes. Something is waiting. For thousands of years, religion and folklore absorbed this fear. The dark was not just dangerous, it was evil. The night was the domain of forces that stood against humanity, against light, against order. And people organized their entire lives around this belief. Fire, ritual, prayer, the counting of stars, the desperate act of keeping light burning through the longest hours, all of it rooted in the same ancient circuitry, trying to make peace with a fear that evolution had locked into place. Then electricity came, and for the first time in human history, humans turned, night into day. You can flood every corner of your room with light at the touch of a finger. You can eliminate the dark entirely if you choose. And yet, you already know what happens when you turn that light off and lie still, long enough. The radar still turns up. The agency detection still fires. The ancient system still asks, into the silence, if something is out there. Because evolution did not design you for your house. It designed you for the savannah, for the cave, for the forest at midnight, with nothing but firelight between you and everything that was hunting you. Your nervous system cannot tell the difference between your bedroom at 2 a.m. and that forest floor 50,000 years ago. The geometry is wrong. The context is wrong. But the brain running inside your skull is the same brain, running the same code, responding to darkness the same way it always has. And so you lie there, eyes open, listening, not because you are weak, not because you are irrational, but because you carry inside you 200,000 years of survival, and every single ancestor who passed their genes to you survived a night in the dark by assuming, correctly, that something might be watching. And the next time the lights go off and you feel it, that quiet, specific, undeniable certainty that you are not alone, you will know exactly what that feeling is. It is your ancestors, keeping you alive, one more night,